The dermis and the hypodermis are the next layers of our skin. We have the papillary layer of the dermis, and then we have the reticular layer, and then the hypodermis beneath. So reticular layer and hypodermis beneath. When we look at kind of what else could be located in these layers, we have some sensory receptors. Our Pacinian corpuscles are located here. They almost look like swirls or eyeballs, and these can sense things like pressure, vibration, and they're in the deep dermis. We also have Messner's corpuscles. These are touch receptors. They also form our dermal papilla, and they're located specifically in thick skin. We also have free nerve endings, which help with pain, temperature, sensation. These are in the epidermis. And we have Ruffini corpuscles, which are stretch and torque receptors, and they are in the reticular layer of the dermis. Our secretory glands are glands of modified epithelial cells that can secrete one or more products either onto the surface or into a blood vessel. And from this invagination or downgrowth, they will form. They then specialize the surface epithelia of the underlying connective tissue. When we look at another skin appendage, we can see our hair follicles. Hairs are composed of keratinized cells that develop from our stem cells in the hair follicle bulb down below. And these skin appendages are also derived from downgrowths of our our epidermal epithelium during development. Glands, there are three types of glands, sebaceous, apocrine, and eccrine. Our sebaceous glands participate in holocrine secretion. Apocrine is merocrine secretion and simple tubular, and eccrine is simple tubular and also merocrine secretion. Looking at our sebaceous glands, we can see this gland here. This is a sebum secreting cells that stores oily secretions. It undergoes apoptosis or holocrine secretion to release sebum by disintegrating, and the basal cells can divide and accumulate lipids and replace cells that undergo apoptosis. Our apocrine sweat glands, as seen here, are tubular glands. They're associated with hair follicles on the axilla, external genitalia, and skin around the anus. They are secretory and they have a secretory coil with a large lumen and they undergo merocrine secretion. They secrete a protein-rich secretion that contains pheromones. This is the odor produced by bacterial breakdown of these secretions. And then our eccrine sweat glands here and here are simple colloid glands. They are not associated with the hair follicle and they help to regulate body temperature. They consist of a secretory segment deep in the dermis or in the upper part of the hypodermis, and it is directly continuous and has a less coiled duct segment that leads to the epidermis of thick and thin skin. Looking then at thick and thin skin, adding on some other components. In thick skin, we'll see more sensory receptors than in thin. And in thick skin, we will primarily see eccrine glands. We won't see hair follicles, but in thin skin, we'll see hair follicles in most areas, sebaceous, eccrine, and apocrine glands. Looking at kind of the whole picture, this is a great kind of overview picture of looking at skin, looking at the different layers of skin and kind of their functionality. And if we are going to kind of define all the names, this could be your study guide. If you're going to define all the names, we have our epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. Our epidermis is stratified squamous keratinized epithelium that consists of the four strata and skin appendages. Our dermis has the reticular and the papillary layer and then contains two types of corpuscles, which are sensory receptors. And then our hypodermis is adipose tissue involving insulin, thermoregulation, and energy storage. This would be a great place to start for your study, is going back and forth between these two slides and filling in the blanks. That's the end of our microhistology lecture this week. You'll find that some of the material will coincide with what you're learning in other courses, which can help you work through your answers.